Hello and welcome to your NARSA weekly update for the week commencing Monday the 10th of February 2025. It's Gary here again. This is definitely not the pod that I thought I would be recording today after Rangers made the wrong kind of history in the absolutely humiliating abomination of a disastrous result that was absolutely one of probably the worst in Rangers' 153 years of being in existence. I was saying to a colleague not long before recording today, right now it's just, what's that, 11:01 a.m. I was saying to a colleague of mine today, I didn't think that I had a Berwick Rangers in my history as a Rangers fan, because the previous analogous performance and result would be the Berwick Rangers result back in the 60s, and I just didn't see one of them. And this is worse because this was at home in a cup competition. The first time we've been beat by a lower division in a domestic cup competition in our history. And there's just no getting away from the fact of what happened. That's what we had to wake up to today. That's what we have to live with as we move forward. And it's part of our history now, and the wrong type and style of history that we want. And it's just, do you know the thing is, like, we as a support, or certainly, let me just talk for myself, I as a Rangers supporter have come to expect this from this team, from this squad. Some good performances, some not so good performances, some excellent performances, and some completely disastrous performances, all from the same squad of players, all from the exact same personnel. And here we are now, as we sit here on the 10th of February, our domestic season is over. Just after the first week in February has come to a close there, and that's just testament to where we're at as a club, as a complete entire organisation. And the most depressing thing that I think I've been talking about here for years is that there is just no quick fix. There's no magic bullet, magic wand, silver bullet, I should say, magic bullet. So there's no quick fix for this. We have to get ourselves right at every single facet of the club, and then just build upon that and build upon that and build upon that back to the powerhouse that we used to be. The problem I have, the worry that I have, is that we're getting further and further and further behind. And the only saving grace, I guess, in this is that we're still way better than the rest of the league. So we're firmly in second spot. Hooray, yay, that's great, but we're just so far off it. And one of the challenges I think we have is that in terms of a generation, we have a generation of employees at the club, honestly, that are used to what we're serving up right now, and we have a generation of fans that are growing up seeing the Rangers that we have right now. I think it was Big Andy Burnett had put on the NARSA WhatsApp group yesterday that we've won something like 3 out of the last 42 domestic trophies now. There's ways to slice and dice that. We weren't in the top league for four of those 12 years, I guess 12 or 13 years. And that's a thing that's obviously that has to be taken into account. But either way, that's horrific for a Rangers fan that grew up when I grew up, in the 80s and 90s and 2000s, when we were competing on all levels, we were firing on all cylinders, we had expectation going into each season, and we had anticipation, excitement going into each season. We just get served up the same stuff by the same types and styles of people all the time. It's very, very, very difficult to take, and everyone is doing their best right now. Everyone. I have to believe that everyone is genuinely doing their best. It's just not good enough. It's not all focused and completely laser beamed into success for the men's first team. I think I mentioned this last week. And if we don't have a successful men's first team, the rest of the club is very, very difficult to manage and lead and support and get excited about. And then we have the manager coming out after the game, and he's swearing in the press conference. I don't think I've ever seen that. I don't think I've ever heard that. Maybe Kashinya did. I can't remember, but he swore at the end, and I think in some way to express his frustration. Rangers managers don't swear in press conferences. You need to be self-controlled enough to be able to come out and say what you need to say afterwards, get the point across about your frustration without swearing. And I say that, by the way, as a swearer. There's many times on this podcast where I'm just raging and I'm ready to blow, and I'm like, no man, I want to try and do something different for this podcast and try and live a wee bit differently and be a bit respectful to your ears and whoever might be watching. listening to this as we move forward. So in the press conference, he refused to think about resigning. He refused to think about there would be a conversation with the board about his tenure or his position. And I wonder what this is. I was actually talking to Leo, my son, about this as we were driving to school this morning. And I just said, like, sports people are obviously wired differently, but if you've got a job that you are to a lot of the benchmarks that are put on there that are maybe imposed upon you. Maybe they're not your actual success criteria that you would determine when you sit down with your management team at the beginning of the season. But when it looks like when you're failing, it looks like you're failing. I mean, I don't imagine that, I would imagine that we would have had a domestic cup success in there. We got cheated out of one of those. So there's not a lot we can do about that now other than continue to protest and make sure that it doesn't happen again. But when you're failing on your ability to challenge the league and you're firmly in second place, comfortably in second place, but second place is no good for the fans who want trophies waved at us by our heroes on the pitch, you know, uh, when does it come to a point when you say, if you take the finances out of it and you say, look, I'm going to be paid here if I get dismissed, rather than going and sitting down and saying, right, listen, my payout, if you dismiss me, is this amount. I'm not enjoying the job. It's affecting my health. It's affecting my family. It's affecting my enjoyment of my career. Why don't we come somewhere in the middle and you can get a negotiation and do that? There doesn't seem to be any desire or anticipation that's going to happen. Now, I say that this could be happening literally right now. I have no idea what happens in the inner workings of Rangers Football Club. I'm still not of a new manager will make things better here. I think we need fundamental change in the infrastructure on the football side to be able to say and attract the best of the best managers and maybe give this manager backing in the transfer window and see where it goes, a la Michael Beale and a little bit possibly of Giovanni Van Bronckhorst and certainly of Steven Gerrard. But when do you just kind of cut the cord and say, look, this isn't working. We need to do something that's going to appease the fan base, give us that little lift between now and the end of the season, and we'll figure things out as we move forward. I'm not sure, but sports people are weird in that respect. Because if I was sitting there getting all that grief in my job, I think I would be like, you know what? Stuff this. I'm out. I'm out of here. But maybe not. And as a professional coach myself, not a sports coach, but a life and leadership and for performance coach, I would be coaching people. I would be coaching Clement to do what he's doing, to say what he's saying, to possibly be a wee bit more open actually in the press conferences to say, I'm not happy about this. This is not working out, and this is what I want to do. Not calling out players and things like that, but just talking about the difficulties of the job at a wee bit more at a level that the fans could understand. Anyway, 8 minutes and I haven't even got to the game. This is going to be quick today, folks. It's just a mess. The whole thing is a mess, isn't it? So the only game was yesterday's 1-0 defeat at home to Queen's Park in the Scottish Cup, meaning that all we'll get from this season is a nice wee pat on the head after being cheated in the League Cup final, as I talked about, getting second place in the league, and the most humiliating result in our history. I still can't believe it. Honestly, I can't. Nice work, Rangers. Thanks very much for the experience that you've given us this season, just when you thought it couldn't get any worse. And it's the first time that Rangers have ever lost at home in the Scottish Cup to a lower division team, and that says it all. I know I mentioned that part earlier. It was simply terrible, wasn't it? But you know what? It was full of nothingness. And here's the irony. When we were driving down to the game in the morning to Pinbar and I looked at the team, I honestly thought it was too strong. I thought that's odd that we would be playing almost the first full squad, like the first available choice picks. And the team, I thought a wee bit of overkill. Quite honestly, I did. And then when you saw the game and how it unfolded, it didn't really matter who would have put on there. It was just one of those things. The substitutions at half time and as the second half progressed were odd, to say the least. And I just assumed, as it felt like the team did in the fullness of time, that we would just find a way to win. Even when Queen's Park were sticking to their tasks, they were getting success, mostly born from our lack of leadership on the field and our lack of invention and creativity. But, the more the game wore on, the more apparent it was that what they were doing was working, and we would need to create different types and styles of chances to score, and they were defending as if their lives depended on it. I still thought we were going to have some success. I just assumed that it was going to come, and as I say, that's obviously what the team thought as well. And for a team in a lower division to come and have one shot on goal. Not even 4 shots off target and 1 on goal. They had 1 shot the entire game, and that was the game-winning goal. That's just beyond shocking. Absolutely beyond shocking. And their goal, ironically, I didn't think it was a corner. It comes from a set piece. Of course, it comes from a set piece. We didn't defend it anyway. Jeffy flailing again like he does, and then a nutmeg on Liam Kelly in goals. It's just an awful goal to lose. That's kind of what you get with young players. I'm not completely throwing Jeffy under the bus, but you're going to get these, complete howlers from these players, and obviously their second choice goalie doesn't crown himself in glory there with getting nutmegged. You shouldn't get nutmegged as a goalie, really, should you? Especially when it was passed by him. It wasn't absolutely bluttered past him or anything like that. And we just plugged away without, it didn't seem like any real strategy or direction, and we got the softish penalty. It was a penalty at the end, and it seemed like there might be something on the offing here. And then there was some sort of gamesmanship from VAR. They took the time to give the penalty, fair enough. And then when Tav was lining it up the first time, the referee then does the old, finger in the ear trick to kind of go, wait a minute, not you're good, off you go, you can go now. And I thought that felt like a bit of gamesmanship at the time. I don't think it put Tav off. Maybe it did, and it worked if it was supposed to put him off, because he hit a very, very, very poor penalty by his standards. And then that's it. The chances we created in the game, of course, were more than enough. We just didn't commit. And that's, unfortunately, the type and style of players that we have in our ranks right now. I'm afraid we're capable of brilliance, and then we're capable of absolute nonsense in the space of days, in the space of minutes, actually, in the same game. And it's just beyond disgraceful. Beyond disgraceful, Rangers. The positives, we can skip over that. There were none whatsoever. The negatives, everything. The attitude, the application, the desire, the execution of the basics, the finishing, the defending, and the time after time after time of constantly punting the ball into the area and it being mopped up by the defenders. I don't know that we won one ball in the area. We're just punting. I play on a crappy over 35s team, and most of us are over 45, by the way, and we sit and we say at halftime, boys, this isn't working, stop punting the high balls in, or stop doing this, or stop doing that. We're reading the game, and you've got these professional athletes who can't read the game and see what they're doing isn't working. This has plagued the team for years and years and years. It's beyond amateur hour. So I'll just stop there. The stats, apparently we had 64% possession, we had 19 shots on goal with 9 on target, 0 goals, versus their 1 shot on goal and their 1 goal to that. The referee, Callum Scott, another new guy, didn't recognise him, and he did all right. He called the penalty right immediately, and then he let things get a wee bit stupid with VAR after that, but that's not his fault. I guess he has to kind of continue to react. So he'll get 7 out of 10. It definitely wasn't his fault that we lost the game, not even close. It was ours. Our next game, if you want to get enthused about coming back to watch this team, is away to Hearts on Sunday the 16th of February, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, noon UK, whatever. We'll see what happens in that game. On the shout-outs, let's get back to some positive things. I'd like to firstly congratulate Rangers Supporters Club of Calgary member John Ablett on his grandson Dustin and his beautiful lady Kaylee are expecting their first kid in September. So that's going to be great grandparents for John and his lovely wife Patricia. So that is absolutely fantastic. I've no idea why I'm stuttering and stammering through my words here, but very, very many congratulations, John and Patricia, and of course to Dustin and Kaylee. That is very, very exciting. He was kind of trying to play it down yesterday in that, please don't mention this on the pod tomorrow sort of way, but please do mention this on the pod tomorrow. So I'm very, very happy to do that and get my mind off of that performance and result from yesterday. Just great news. John is an absolute diamond of a guy, and his wife is absolutely lovely too. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting Dustin, but John speaks very, very highly of him too. So fabulous news there, and another new entrant into the Rangers family to boot. So that's great news. The women's team did fantastically well yesterday, beating the Aberdeen women 10-0 to continue their quest to to try to regain the title that they lost in spectacular fashion last season. They're now 2 points behind Glasgow City and that mob from the East End, and they're actually, interestingly, joint third with Hibs right now. Hearts have had a wee bit of a tail off there, so very exciting at the top of the table, only 2 points separating it. The good news is that Rangers have a vastly superior goal difference, so what happened last year of losing it on goal difference should not happen this year if they continue this way, and there are still some very, very big games to go, so all exciting there. Nice to see one of the Rangers teams actually producing and doing what needs to be done on the pitch. Quick reminder of the Melbourne City Loyal Rangers Supporters Club Culture Weekend this November 21st and 22nd is when all the action takes place. Ian Ferguson, Gary Stevens and Stuart Monroe all going, boat cruise, culture night, songs and such from a singer from back home. I'll leave the link on there if you're into that and you can afford to do that, then you should definitely do that. Not choosing that over NARSA 2025, of course, but if you can do both, that would be great. And this week, it's actually this weekend, is the NARCO Curry Weekend. And it's hosted by the London Rangers Supporters Club, and that's in London, Ontario. Of course, if you want any details at the last minute to take your mind off of things that are happening on the pitch, you can email narco2025@outlook.com and Andy will get back to you on that. The itinerary is a meet and greet at the Scots Corner pub, host of the London Rangers Supporters Club, and that's on Thursday the 13th. On Friday, you can take your love on a brewery tour and to the London Knights hockey game. On Saturday, the curry is being hosted at the Scots Corner pub as well. On Sunday, they have the game at 7 a.m. with Hearts hosting Rangers, and then the farewell event should probably continue from the game there, shouldn't it? And they'll have a great time there this weekend. I can't make it this weekend, as I think I've mentioned before, but I'm sure it's going to be some carnage and an opportunity to forget about our on-pitch woes there. So good luck to Andy and the entire organising team, and of course to Eddie and Dave and Lorraine and the crew from the London Rangers Supporters Club. On to the convention update. 121 days and 17 weeks until we go to Kissimmee. It's June the 12th to the 15th. We're at Omni at Champions Gate. You might have seen yesterday, and what a game to have it at, but we had our LED display at the pitch side, LED display at the Rangers game yesterday. Very inopportune game to have it at, of course, but you've seen it flashing up there, NARSA, and looking at, obviously advertising NARSA 2025 and where to book your tickets, which is, of course, at narsa.ca, our website. And we're going through some website work right now. I just got information last week that our Contact Us box wasn't working on the main website, so we're doing some mechanics in the background to get that working. If you have ever tried to email or get in contact with NARSA through that, leave your name and address here, and it hasn't worked, that's not me ignoring you. I promise it should come to my inbox and then I should email you. I would email you back, of course I would. So if you've ever tried that and nothing happened and it kind of pissed you off a wee bit, please just email me at rangersscc@hotmail.com. That's 2 S's and 2 C's. rangersscc@hotmail.com, and I will absolutely get back to you and give you the information that you need from there. So fabulous to see NARSA on the global stage on the pitch side, and there's going to be another 3 occasions when that happens between now and the end of the season. It's just very, very disappointing that it came on a historic, for all the wrong reasons, game. Tickets are out for sale. The hotel is out for sale. Please, if you're coming along, get your tickets booked so that we can get a better idea and understanding of what that looks like in terms of our operating budget to move forward from here. I've expressed my concern with our ticket sales, obviously, thus far, and we'll see what happens as we go forward. I'm meeting with the Omni Hotel on Thursday, and I should have some information to share about that on next week's pod after we get a conversation with the hotel about the way that things are shaping up. In terms of other business, just a reminder that at this year's AGM, which will be hosted during the convention, that we do have a number of executive positions coming up for grabs. So if you're interested in joining the executive and getting to know me a wee bit better and whomever else is on the executive, we would love to have you along. It's way better if you have skills in your particular area of passion and your area that you would be looking to come and contribute in. And if you don't, we can train you up and we can give you everything you need, but we a passion for Rangers and a passion for volunteering and a passion to be available and contribute to NARSA and Rangers overall is exactly what we're looking for. And again, you can email me at the email address I gave you earlier, and you can get all the information you need about each of the roles. Each of the roles are posted on the NARSA website under About Us, I think it is, and then the Constitution. It's actually listed in the Constitution there. And just a reminder for all NARSA clubs who have yet to pay their membership fees, they're supposed to be paid by the 1st of August, and I'm talking here on the 10th of February, and some haven't paid. Come on, folks. And if you haven't paid your first instalment of RTV for the season, please, please, please reply to the emails that Alec Grant is sending you, or email me directly, or email Sandra Hawthorne, NARSA secretary at gmail.com, to give us an idea of what's happening. I'm going to have to do some personal reach outs here on my own, which I kind of don't have time to do, to be perfectly honest with you folks. So if you have yet to pay, please get that payment in. I shouldn't have to be saying this in February for that sort of thing. This is what keeps your association going. This is what keeps the organisation in business. So it's very, very important that you do that. In terms of the Gers guide, I didn't even look at it this week. Today there will be inside Ibrox probably. There'll be some Rangers women's team highlights of the 10-0 victory over Aberdeen. Of course, tomorrow there'll probably be the loan review. There will be some other stuff that happens. There'll be a press conference that happens on Friday for the Hearts game. And then the Rangers women's team are playing next week. Forgive me, but I can't remember who they're playing. And then we play Hearts. You could go to the site and see it. I'm not fully firing on all cylinders this week. And just a reminder that the Rangers Review do have a very special offer for NARSA members, friends and family, that you can get that for a £5 you can get the entire year of exclusive access to all of their content, and their content is brilliant and very, very consistent, and they have a lot of exclusives and such, as well as was detailed in the email that I sent out last weekend. So please, if you're into that, it would be great to support all the boys and girls over at the Rangers Review, and they do some really genuinely good quality stuff there. And this is an exclusive offer, so I'll continue to leave that link up there. And just a reminder of the International Coaches Convention, 3rd to the 6th of April. I'll leave that article up there. All right, that'll do it for this week, my friends. Thanks very much, as always, for taking the time to listen. I keep saying at this point, as always, please do share it with someone else that wants to enjoy it. Maybe share last week's episode, or maybe think about sharing next week's episode. This isn't my best work. I think you will all agree, for good reason. Good luck to everyone at the NARCO team and the London Rangers Supporters Club this coming weekend. And until next week, please do take care of yourself and all the very best. Okay, follow.